Hello, folks. So, in this video, I wanted to talk about how I've still not learned to read the room, right? I'm still learning, but I have not learned enough. So, I've always been pretty naive and let's just say innocent in many ways that I didn't realize that, for example, let's say I go talk to someone or say text someone and whatever, and they think that I have some ulterior motive, though usually my reason to talk is to basically I just want to talk, I just want to socialize, right? But then they think I have some ulterior motive, or like they just think this I don't know why this guy is randomly suddenly texting. So they're just like I don't want to talk, but then I don't realize this based on their behavior and actions and words, right? I mean, you let's say I crack a joke or whatever, and then they behave rude, or at least in my perspective, it is rude, or something. They're not casual as casual I am. They're not as casual as I am, and they're probably a very very serious person. I'm also serious in many ways. It depends, but my value is actually to be casual and in the moment. I have many values like being responsible, of course, and being kind, and being in the moment, and being casual, right? And there are some more, but anyways, we'll talk about my values later. These are my current values. Of course, I could change it probably in the future, but of course, they don't keep changing. Then that doesn't make sense. For it to keep changing, let's say every day, then those are not exactly values. At least uh, I wouldn't call it values. Values has its own definition, and though there is a global dictionary definition and whatnot, and everyone has their own definition of stuff. I think values shouldn't change every day. Anyways, I think when I talk to people and then I'm like, okay, this conversation is not going very great, and then I realize, okay, maybe they don't want to talk to me, right? I've always never thought like people could hate me or dislike me or not. Of course, not everyone would love you, but then I never thought that they could just have hatred or like just what do you say? What's that term? I forgot. Like no inclination or like no you know no reaction or feelings towards someone, not hatred, no I think it's called indifferent, yeah. No hatred, no love, whatever. I think indifferent means that. So they were just being very very, what do you say, emotionless. They were not emoting at all, like, or they were just being rude and like things like that. It's like, what is going on, right? Because my value is generally to always be in a good mood. Which I mean, of course, you can't always be in a good mood, but what do I mean by that? When I say I want to be in a good mood always, I any action I take, as long as the action shows that I'm in a good mood, great. Regardless of what mood I am in, I would like to take actions such that it exhibits only good mood, so that my actions dictate my mood. And there's also this idea, right? Mood follows action, meaning first you take the action and then mood will follow it. And if you take a good action, great action, an action that is good for your mood, mood will follow it and your mood will become good. Instead of like you're in a bad mood, so you wouldn't do anything and whatnot, you would rather just take some action, uh, assuming you're in a good mood or assuming you're not in a bad mood and whatnot. So whatever action I take, I ensure that it exhibits and represents good mood as much as possible, right? So this also feeds back into my mood and my behavior and my habits, and ensures that I'm always taking actions that exhibit good mood and good behavior and joyous mood and a happy mood, a great exciting mood, a mood in which I'm in amazement and I'm amazed and I'm excited and stuff like that. So basically, just be amazing as much as possible and exhibit that mood. But then people, I think they clearly show off, and it's happened. Like even I make a lot of mistakes. My tone, my words sometimes shows off my anger or my disrespect and things like that. I've made a lot of mistakes. I even made some mistakes, not some, many mistakes recently also. So sometimes even my words and tone show that I'm angry or I'm rude or I am in a very bad mood or I'm annoyed or I'm pissed and I'm infuriated or or even have some ego and things like that, right? So, and a lot of people, when I interact with them, it clearly shows off that okay, I'm like, okay, this person is being rude, and I wonder, do they not want to talk to me, or are they in a bad mood? I usually think they just don't want to talk to me because I don't know. I think it's just my insecurities, or thinking that say my fear or insecurity that no one wants to talk to me and whatever, or is interested in me. But then when I notice this multiple times, I'm like, usually like, okay, let's read the room. They don't want to talk. It's fine. But yeah, it could be possible that they don't want to talk to anyone, or they are just in a bad mood in general in that moment, or probably something like that. Or in those times when I talk to them and whatnot, and not just they don't want to talk to me, though it could be that also, right? So I am very bad at reading the room and understanding that okay, this person doesn't want to talk, at least to me now, at least, right? They don't want to talk to me, and now there is, yeah. And it could be for many reasons. They're in a bad mood or whatever, bad situation for them, whatever, or they are in or just my perspective, that I feel it's rude, but for them it's like normal tone, and they're just like that. Or it could just be specific to me, like they just don't like me, and they're just probably wondering why is this guy coming and talking to me, right? People always look for reasons, right? It makes sense. Like if someone randomly comes and talks to me, I'll be like, I don't know you. Okay, hi. And I will talk, of course, but I'll just be confused. Like, okay, what is it? But then, yeah, I'll probably, especially if I'm walking on the road and suddenly someone comes and says hi, usually some sales agent. So yeah. Anyways, but I think I'll have to improve my reactions also when someone new comes and talks to me, some stranger and whatnot. Just not be confused and be welcoming and be like, assume good intentions and whatnot. But I can understand that like a lot of people, like let's say women, like I go and talk to women, say text them or talk to them and whatnot. I think they probably assume that this guy just wants to have a romantic relationship, or this guy is just flirting, or he just wants to have sex, he just wants to get in my pants. They probably think all of that, right? Which is understandable, given you're in a world where a lot of men do think like that. Maybe not a lot of men, but depends, right? But women have had a lot of bad experiences in the past, say growing up and whatnot, or even recent times and whatnot, and they will think like that, especially based on location and whatnot. How popular or prominent is it for men and women to talk? And in India, a lot of women just probably don't have a good impression about men, I guess. So, and they have been scarred. Many have been scarred for life for various reasons. Say they have been tortured by men and they have been abused by men. Some have even had like bad experiences, like say acid attacks, very crazy stuff, acid attacks and rapes and whatnot, where they would just have hatred for men, right? And it'll just be hard to go back to trusting men if you have had traumatic experiences like rape and acid attacks and the like, and have had abuse like physical abuse, emotional abuse, and all that, or have just been in romantic relationships that just have not been great, and um, say they've had emotional abuse, and they've had different kinds of bad behavior. Say they have been gaslighted, wherein they have been told that their memories are wrong, or their reality has been twisted and turned, and told that what they think is reality is not the reality and whatnot, and they have been made to self-doubt themselves and whatnot, through gaslighting and whatnot. So it's understandable that women have been hurt and there has been a lot of heartache. So there could be many reasons for women to just not trust people in general, and this is assuming like say heterosexual relationships and whatnot, where it's about two opposite genders and whatnot, right? Though there is like so many genders actually out there. Apparently, the last I heard, there were like some 54 genders, and it's not just male, female, and trans men, trans women, and whatnot. And there's also a lot of different kinds of sexuality and whatnot. Like, it's not just homosexual and heterosexual, and like it's not like someone is attracted to just like say men or women. It's just like it could be many things, and it's not just about attraction. I think there's like multiple things, but there's like gender, there's sexuality, there's sex, and then there is gender identity and whatnot. There's like multiple things around gender and sex and sexuality and whatnot. So there are people who call themselves as gender fluid, and who have pronouns like they, them instead of like he, she, and whatnot. And and even if you look at the community of like LGBTQIA, there is like so it's not just lesbian and gays and like whatnot. It's LGBTQIA plus. So it's like it's a lot of things. I can't even remember the whole full form. I think it's lesbian, gay, bisexual, LGBT, transsexual. I think Q. I think queer, IA. I can't remember what it is. IA plus. Basically, there are also asexual people and all that, right? So but yeah, I mean, in general, like I'm normalizing or generalizing, but I'm just saying, like if you think about it, there are people for some reason they just don't want to talk, or they have a bad mood, and I've had a very hard time understanding that okay, this person doesn't want to talk, and I'm always confused, like why perplexed, like why doesn't this person want to talk? Why don't they want to talk? Right? But then there could be many reasons. It's hard for me to understand, right? I can't read their minds or their life situation and whatnot. And I really don't want to ask, hey, what's going on? Because I've asked that question to many people in the past, and I've got very big answers and very elaborate answers, and I've gotten into very deep, sad stuff and whatnot. And unfortunately, I mean, I can't listen to people's sad lives sometimes, sad stories sometimes, though I would love to help people out, but I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, though it sounds great to be one, and like it sounds great to be able to do something like that, but then the reality is it's really hard to actually listen to someone, especially when they're going through really hard times. It requires a different mindset, and it requires a lot of different kinds of energy and like whatnot. So when I go and talk to someone, go to someone and like start a conversation and whatnot, um, and they're not willing to talk, and I'm like, I understand really late that they don't want to talk, or they're just not in a good mood, right? Or they think that this person has some ulterior motive, right? Depending on the context and environment. Let's say I'm talking on WhatsApp, they could be thinking this guy is trying to mm, just say flirt or have a fling or something, have a romantic relationship, not even a like a proper one. Say friends with benefits. They don't want all that, right? Lot of people don't want casual relationships, though there are people who do want it. But then people who don't want it, of course, will if they don't want it, of course they'll do actions and stuff to ensure that they are not interested in it, to show that they are not interested in it, right? And they'll not encourage any such behavior, right? Any such conversations and whatnot. And let's say I'm talking on LinkedIn, then they could be thinking similar stuff if I'm talking to say a woman, or they could be thinking stuff like this person wants to get a referral or something, which is very prominent in LinkedIn. This is actually a social networking for professionals where they try to connect and network with people to learn, to get new opportunities. When I say get new opportunities, I mean like new jobs or new collaborations outside of official jobs and whatnot, and work and learn and whatnot, right? So yeah, I mean, people could just think that this person has some ulterior motive and whatnot. So then, yeah, I mean, it's understandable, though you may not have these motives. Well, you're still, you're still the victim of assumptions, and people have like lot of assumptions, and people make lot of assumptions. There's this term called climbing the ladder of assumptions, right? I learned this in my first company where I worked. They had like lot of different interesting kinds of sessions around such stuff about giving and receiving feedback, and as part of that they spoke about some psychological stuff, some stuff that talks about the human mind, how we actually make assumptions and climb the ladder of assumptions. Like we make one assumption, and then based on that we make another assumption, and then based on that another assumption, and so on and so forth. Like assumption 1 becomes the reason for assumption 2, assumption 2 becomes the reason for assumption 3, and so on, and becomes like say 10 assumptions or 20 assumptions, and then now you are on the 20th assumption with all the 20 assumptions. You are like now going and talking to someone with that 20th assumption, and then you talk as if those 20 assumptions are actually true and are facts, and you talk based on that, right? You don't even ask and clarify your assumptions, right? You just assume and you believe that it's right, and you believe that that's what happened, though you don't know that it's an assumption, or you know it's an assumption and you are very sure that yeah, this is what must have happened, though I'm assuming I know this must have happened 99% or 100%, whatever. You require a different level of self-awareness and maturity to actually be able to understand that sometimes people don't have ulterior motives, or don't make assumptions, or even if you have assumptions, be aware of assumptions. If you have biases, be aware of those biases, and try to not let those biases control your behavior and actions and words and whatnot, right? And your thoughts and whatnot. Ensure that you're aware that this is what you're feeling, but then you don't have to let this feeling seep out, and understand that you're biased to someone or something or some behavior and whatnot, and try to understand why you're biased, and try to understand can you actually move past that bias and that assumption and whatnot, and try to actually behave in such a way that it aligns with your values, and it still ensures that you're not in a very bad situation, like you don't get vulnerable unnecessarily or unintentionally, right? uh, and you still can protect yourself, because let's say a man talks to a woman, let's say both are heterosexual, and like the woman will actually try to protect herself only, right? thinking that she's vulnerable, and I mean, she could get vulnerable, and she'll try to protect herself, and in the process of protecting herself, she will do anything to protect herself, right? So she doesn't want to get vulnerable unnecessarily unless she trusts the person, right? If it's a new person, new man, the woman will do stuff to ensure that she's safe. So she would do stuff that any sane woman, any mindful woman would do. Ensure that she doesn't give information that can actually you know say compromise her safety and her personal information, stuff like that, right? So she'll ensure that she's not vulnerable, right? So of course, keep those in mind, ensure that you are safe, um, and you don't do something that compromises your safety. um, but then also be mindful that you have biases, you have assumptions, you have had past behaviors that will make you more biased, and that will make you think badly of someone and whatnot. So be uh, be aware, beware, be careful about your own biases and your own assumptions. And yeah, I mean, and people who are actually facing these behaviors of, like, rude behaviors and whatnot, who are actually, say, let's just call them victims of such rude behaviors and whatnot, understand that it's nothing about you. Usually it's just people's bad experiences or past trauma and whatnot, basically. And then also people's assumptions, and it could be people's life situations, current life situation. They are just in a bad place, right? So just read the room and move on, and don't force a conversation, don't force stuff. Chuck it, move on. There are so many people out there that you can talk to. uh, it is sad when you can't talk to someone, or when you feel like this person doesn't want to talk to you, but it is what it is. We just have to learn to move on. So yeah, also, when someone comes and talks to me, I think I usually try to just talk to them, and, like, though sometimes I wonder, did I actually spend too much time talking to this person about this? Maybe I could have just done something else productive. But then if I keep thinking about this, it becomes very tricky, because then I'm actually trying to avoid social connections and conversations. A lot of times social connections and conversations helps you give new perspectives, and you might just be uh, able to discover something new through conversations, right? So that will only happen through serendipity, like just sudden conversations, random conversations that just happens, right? It just happens. You can't create those conversations. You can't be like, hey, let's get into a conversation and learn something, right? That's very tricky. You're trying to force a learning. It's not gonna always happen. It requires a lot of thought, and people should have already understood and learned what they already know, and learned what they already have learned and whatnot, and they should be able to document them, and, like, they should be able to tell them all at once and whatnot, right? Which is really hard for many people, especially, let's say, they don't have a good memory. For example, my memory, I mean, I think my memory is good. It's just that I've always had the habit of thinking that my memory is bad. The reality is my memory is good. It's just that I remember what is important, or, like, what my brain thinks is important, I guess. So if I need to remember something, I need to ensure that I consider it very, very important. And there's also this idea that you can actually connect information or knowledge with emotion, and that will help you remember stuff for longer, right? Emotion helps you remember stuff for longer, I guess. That's what I've heard. No wonder people remember bad experiences, and, like, very bad experiences, and some very good experiences for a very long time, and they remember negative stuff and all that, because just negative, because it's just bad emotions, and it's just extreme in that just causes you to emote a lot. Anyways, so yeah, you can't force conversations. Also, it's not like I'm wasting or like I'm spending too much time talking to people, I try to ensure that I spend more time with myself also and do stuff on my own. And but I do try to give a space for serendipitous or conversations, or like casual conversations and impromptu conversations. Basically, give way to serendipity. I don't know if there's a term called serendipitous. Anyways, serendipitous conversations. Anyways, impromptu conversations, I think sounds good. So, sudden conversations, it just happens, right? Than forcing conversations or saying, "Hey, I'm busy," or try to avoid conversations by say putting earphones and headphones and earpods and say that, "Hey, I just need to get this work done. Can we talk later?" and whatnot. Sometimes I just say okay and yes, and I think it's not a big problem for me because it's not like everyone wants to talk to me. Like I just said, I go and talk to someone, it's not like they are like very excited and they want to talk to me and all that. No, most people are very busy with their own lives, and they would rather talk to anyone that they want to talk to and say their friends than form new friends and whatnot. I am like 28 years old, and at this age, I think not a lot of people form new friends. Very few people do that. Most people just have the same set of friends from childhood and whatnot, and keep moving on with those same set of friends and whatnot, say from school, from college, and from work and whatnot, right? From their first place of work and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, I give space for impromptu conversations. So many people may not do that. When can I not do it? When will I be able to understand that I can't really say yes to every other conversation? When will I understand that I can't, or when will I understand that I can't say yes to every conversation, or when will it become not feasible to actually say yes to every conversation? When many people want to talk to me. Let's say I become a celebrity, which is like a very very rare scenario. Let's say I am already a celebrity, for example. Let's just assume, right? Let's say I am some big actor, let's say Fahad Fazil, who many people want to talk to, right? Many people want to talk to him, right? Like many people want to talk to, say, Fahad Fazil, or say I am A.R. Rahman, who many people want to talk to, right? So many people want to talk to A.R. Rahman, and A.R. Rahman, like, how can I talk to everyone? How can I have an impromptu conversation with everyone? Like, how can I have a long conversation with everyone every day, all the time, right? You can't. A.R. Rahman will have his own life, right? So then he has to choose now. Like, he has to protect his time. I am not in a situation where I have to protect my time, but a lot of people are in a situation where they have to actually fight for their time and protect their time, and everyone has to actually. Even I have to protect my time in some ways, or else I will let everyone else control my time. So I should ensure that I can protect my time to some extent and not let someone else take up my time, or say yes to someone and, like, let them take up my time. And if I start blaming them, that's just me being unwise. A wise Karpya would just be like, hey, I have something to attend to, and then try to actually tell it in a very nice manner and not be rude, and at least in whatever ways I can, because rude is still subjective and depends on perspective. So I can just try to say, hey, I have to get to this, I have to do this, I have to sleep, or I have to get work done, or I have some chore to do and whatnot, and then try to cut the conversation short, right? So everyone has to protect their time. So a lot of people could actually avoid conversations just to protect their time also, right? Consciously or unconsciously or subconsciously or whatever, right? So yeah, I mean, so when will I not be able to talk to everyone and have impromptu conversations and just talk for how much time I want? When I don't have enough time to do the stuff that I need to do, and when a lot of people want to talk to me, right? A lot of people, let's say, because I become very popular or I become very interesting for some reason, and a lot of people know me or have discovered me and want to talk to me for some reason, right? Then it becomes hard. I'll have to start protecting my time, right? So, and how can I actually have a conversation with them? You can't possibly have a conversation with everyone in the world or every person, let's say, who wants to talk to you and you're popular, right? It's hard. But then, if they want to get to know something from you, you can actually try to scale that. Like, for example, I'm making this YouTube video. I am trying to scale it up, right? Like, if some 10 people want to talk to me about something or want to learn something from me, um, or want to learn something specific from me, I can understand that and I can be like, okay, let me just create this video. And if they really want to learn, then they can just look at this video, right? Of course, everyone will not have the same, what do you say, uh, way of learning. For example, some people learn from text form, say blogs, articles, and all. Some people learn from audio form, say podcasts and all that. Some people ebooks, like audio books and all that stuff. And then some people learn from videos and all, right? Some people learn from a mix of these, right? Now, but I can only do what I can do, right? It's going to be hard for me to actually type out a lot of stuff very quickly at the speed of my thought. Speaking at the speed of my thought itself is not easy, but I try to do it. Writing at the speed of my thought, not that easy. I can actually type really fast, but then not write. Okay, type. Yeah, writing is like writing on paper. I can't write that fast and all, but I can type a lot. I can type a lot and I can type fast, but not probably as fast as my thought process, right? But I can talk as fast as, like to some extent, as fast as my thought process, right? To the extent that I might sometimes swallow words and think but not speak those words. But anyways, this is not a great thing. Anyways, this happens sometimes even in writing, typing again, but very rarely. But in writing, it has happened a lot, I think, in the past. Anyways, so I try to scale it up. I try to make videos, whatever I can do, videos, or I sometimes write stuff, blogs and whatnot, or I sometimes I've done audio podcasts before. I've done a podcast before, like some 2-3 episodes, and then I stopped. I could do podcasts because in YouTube videos it's just me, and then like looking at the camera and talking. Like it shows my expressions. That's the only thing, and it shows say some person talking instead of a podcast where there's this audio. But some people just require audio. I could probably put the audio version of my videos and on some podcast as a podcast and all that, right? Anyways, where the video doesn't matter. Usually, it doesn't matter. In my most of my videos, the video doesn't matter. Just the audio matters mostly. Of course, my expressions are there and my hands moving and all that stuff. And me smiling and whatnot. Only if I'm laughing, you can hear it on audio. If I'm smiling, it's gonna be hard unless and until you really know me. It's gonna be hard for you to understand am I smiling or not when I'm talking. And even if you know me really well, it's gonna be hard for you to understand if I'm smiling when I'm talking because it's not gonna be heard on audio that easily or like through my tone also that easily. Hey, so yeah, I try to scale. So if many people want to talk, some 10-15 people want to actually learn something from me, they can look at my videos for now. Instead of me having to sit with 10-15 people. Also, let's say I die someday, I will die someday, and this will actually be recorded and say if it is available in history, anyone over a different timeline can actually learn. It's very ambitious of me, I know. I am ambitious like that. I want people to learn from anyone and everyone, regardless of the timeline they are in. And if you can actually scale knowledge and thoughts and opinions and suggestions and advice and whatnot, people don't like advice. A lot of people don't like advice. Anyways, even I don't, I guess. They're very subjective stuff. Which advice you like versus which advice you don't like. Anyway, but the thing is, if you can scale like that, because you can't really possibly talk to everyone who wants to talk to you, or you can't really talk to everyone in the world, but you can scale your ideas and thoughts and whatnot, and opinions and everything, and suggestions and whatnot, and put it out there for anyone to look at. And then maybe if someone comes up and says they want to understand you, you can just be like, can probably go check out some of this. Of course, it's going to be really hard for them to go through everything, but they can just look through, like they can just flip through stuff if it's a book, or they can just randomly look at some of your videos and whatnot and try to understand what you do, what you say, what you think, and whatnot. Though it will keep changing over time and over your videos when you have multiple videos and so many other videos like and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, of course it's gonna be like, I think there are reality shows where people record the participants of the reality show almost all the time, 24/7. If they start releasing the 24/7 footage, people can't see it at 1x speed or even 2x speed and whatnot, because they will have to spend almost all their life like all their time looking at it, because it will be so much content, right? Let's say it was 10 days content, 24/7, 10 days content. Even if you look at 2x speed, let's say 5 days, you'll have to spend 5 complete days to be able to see it completely, right? So yeah, if you want to go through someone's life, it's going to be hard, and like go through all the things they have to say, it's going to be hard. But if you want to pick and choose, sure, like it's going to be easier, I guess. But yeah, if I want to scale, I would do that. Like if people want to talk to me and learn from me, but if people want to talk to me and tell stuff to me, it's going to be hard. I'll have to probably create forms and stuff, and even then, will I be able to read every other, say, form or email and whatnot? Will I be able to read every other thing? Or let's say they put YouTube comments, will I be able to read every other thing, or will I be able to get and understand and consume every other thing that people have to say to me? Maybe not, right? Especially if there are like many people and I'm popular, let's say, and there are many people, let's say a lot of people will have a lot of things to say to A.R. Rahman, but he can't keep listening to everyone, right? Like he can't possibly hear out everyone, listen to everyone. So it's going to be tricky stuff, but especially when you're popular and many people want to talk to you and tell you stuff. But if they want to get stuff from you, it's going to be easier. But even then, the person who wants to tell, like who wants to, like the person who needs to give out the stuff and say give out information and whatnot, they need to create content and they need to scale it up. Will they have the time to do that is the question, right? And of course, will they have the time to also get people's opinions, feedback, comments and whatnot, or what people have to say? That's also going to be hard. So understanding the practicalities of, like, how much one person can actually interact with other people, let's say how much one person can tell stuff and teach stuff and say stuff to many people, and how much one person can actually consume stuff and get stuff from many people, it's going to be a very constrained problem. There's only so much one person can do. But yeah, as of now, I just try to talk to people, and there are very few people who would talk to me. And if they come up and talk to me, I'll actually respect them, because there's not like so many people who are just like coming and talking to me. And it should always be respectful. It's important to always respect, not just to get respect, but just be decent and kind, right? Like I think kindness has a lot of benefits, and it's just good for myself also, right? In general, my own brain, right? Like it just puts me in a good mindset when I'm kind than when I'm like anything else. So I'll talk about that in a separate video, kindness and respect and whatnot. But anyone comes and talks to me, like I'm like, oh wow, so this person wants to talk to me, great, let's talk to them. So I listen to them, and I consider myself a good listener. Of course, only when it comes to stuff like just usual conversations, because I don't think I can listen so much to stuff like content like that is supposed to be in a therapy conversation, wherein people are talking about some sad stuff and their past lives and whatnot, and some sad stuff and whatnot, deep stuff, sad stuff, very traumatic stuff and whatnot. I don't want to listen to that so much, at least at this point in my life. I used to listen to that stuff before, I don't anymore. So I don't ask questions like, at least I don't plan on asking questions like, how are you doing? And then expect an answer that's like very big, wherein I help them unpack their sadness and all. No, I don't want to do that. Or ask stuff like, what happened? Do you want to talk about it? Nope. I don't do that anymore. But other than that, I do talk to people, and like, it's nice to talk to people. It puts me in a good like learning mode and like good mood, and like learn stuff, be curious and whatnot, and understand their people's life experiences around different things, and whatnot. And so yeah, someone comes and talks to me. Okay, I'm like, okay, great. And someone comes and says stuff like, hey, I'm getting married, and like, someone invites me, and I'm like, oh wow, so you invited me. No one has invited me much, at least so often, for their weddings and whatnot. So I'm like, wow, okay, so you're inviting me, I will come. If I can come, I will come. And a lot of times I can go. I do go. Like if it's on a weekend, usually it's on a weekend, so I just go. Right. So if someone calls you out of respect, and they are calling you usually out of respect only for their functions, or they're talking to you out of respect usually, or they like, there is some form of respect when someone starts off a conversation with you. So I think it's important to reciprocate that respect and give that respect back through words and actions, and behavior and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, as of now, I just talk to anyone who comes and talks to me. I do have to be careful about protecting my time, but I'll not worry too much about it. I'll try to focus. I'll focus on it here and there. I'll probably make a lot of mistakes, but I'll learn from it. I believe I'll learn from it, and I will. It's not like I'm just gonna hope and believe that I'll learn from it, blindly believe and blindly hope. But I will work on it also. I am very very specific about looking at my mistakes, and I analyze my mistakes and whatnot. Do I learn from it? I analyze them, so I learn the mistakes, learn from it, and ensure that it doesn't happen again. It depends. I'm still trying to learn from the mistakes and not make them happen is another step. I do learn from it, like I analyze them, learn from the whole idea of like, why did I make it, how did I make it, how did I end up in that issue or situation or problem and whatnot, and try to understand how I can avoid it sometimes. Do I avoid it? That's the next thing. That requires remembering stuff. I'll have to remember that do not make this mistake. There's like thousands of mistakes that I can make, thousands and not even thousands, tens of thousands and millions of mistakes that I can make. It's going to be hard to remember all of them, but if I can have some values, yeah, I think I'll have to convert my avoid mistake list to a values list, and ensure that I follow those kind of values, and that will just help me, or just have values for now, which I do have, and ensure that I follow my values, and say protecting my time is one value, and I try to ensure that like I assuming that, let's say, protecting my time to some extent is one of my values, then, or one of my goals to some extent, to ensure that I can do stuff that I also want to do, and don't let other people say control my time, or like let other people control my time by saying yes to them and like letting them control my time. Instead, I am the master of my time, and I don't want to give control to them. And so I can just be like, okay, hey, I need to do this stuff, and also ensure that I plan. For example, that could be one of my values, wherein I plan and say that this is what I plan to do in my weekend, this is what I plan to do on weekdays, and have some buffer here and there, of course, for my plan and also for impromptu stuff, and not just follow the plan always, and have some impromptu things. So yeah, serendipity and like impromptu conversations and whatnot. Like suddenly someone calls up one day, some old friend and whatnot, or someone just needs some help, if some emergency or whatever, right? So yeah, but yeah, it's hard to actually just remember all the mistakes that I make and be like, I made this mistake, this is how I made it, and I shouldn't make it again. It's gonna be hard. I still find it hard to. I feel really bad and sad when I make the same mistake again sometimes. but I try to move on. Anyway, so that's all I had for this video, talking about how I am naive sometimes to reading the room and understanding that people don't want to talk to me, and the whole idea about talking to people and people talking to me, and when it's feasible and when it's not feasible and whatnot. That's all I had for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.